If you're looking for a quick ring to make on the go, this messy beaded wrap ring is for you. The inspiration for this ring was really, I was wanting to make a quick ring right before a jewel school show, and it just happened. And I love making it because you can use any kind of small beads that you have. I love making it with Chinese crystals and 24 gauge wire. And you'll see after we're finished how quick and easy it is. So here are the tools and the supplies that we're gonna need for this project. We're gonna need a ring mandrel and a flush cutter, a chain nose plier. It's always good to have a wire straightening plier when you're working with wire in case you get any kinks, 24 gauge wire, and some Chinese crystals. And these are 4mm. All right, so let's get started. First, we're gonna cut about 3.5 feet of 24 gauge wire. Now I start to just string on crystals, and I used about 16 in this ring, but I'm just gonna start with stringing 8. Now that I've got my crystals on, I'm gonna start making some loops. And sometimes I'll wrap right onto the mandrel on the size, just a little bit bigger than what I want it to end up being since it shrinks at the end. But also sometimes I'll just make loops and then wrap it around my mandrel and pull it tight, and it just works. I'm just going to start making loops because I think that's gonna be good for me. So watch this. I'm just gonna hold my wire like this and just kind of start making loops and dropping down a couple of beads each time. Like that. And now I'm gonna string a few more beads. And so I'm just gonna continue doing this wrapping and letting 2 beads fall to the ground. Okay, so now I'm gonna go to my mandrel and I'm gonna work a size over what I want it to be in the end. And this, just think about sizing for a second. This band is really thick, so you kind of wanna go a little bit bigger than you think you do. So normally I wear a size 8 ring, but I want this to be a size 9. So I'm gonna work on the size 10 on the mandrel. So slide that on. Kind of just hover over that size. You can see the size 10 here. And gather your little crystals at the bottom and just start pulling it tight, little by little. And just kind of keep those crystals down towards the bottom if you can. And then just keep readjusting and pulling tight. And then you may have some leftover wire that you want to wrap around just to give it some more wire. And then you can gather those there towards the back right here. Kind of slide it off. Make sure you have enough wire on each tail for the wraps at the back. And just so you can see, there's my little wraps at the back of my ring. So now it looks like that. I'm gonna put it right back on real quick. I think I want to turn it to the front before I take it off. I want to make sure it looks right. Ooh, that one looks really pretty. Every ring turns out a little bit different when you do this method. So now I'm just going to wrap this one tail around the back. And I'm just going to wrap about 6 times. And then I'm going to trim that off with the flat side of my flush cutter. And then with my chain nose plier, I'm going to go in and push it down. And then I'll do the exact same thing with the other tail. Just a reminder, this is 24 gauge wire, and so it's very light, very malleable. But the thing that keeps this ring together are these wraps in the back, and the front will splay out and get wild. And that's okay, that's what the ring is kind of supposed to do. As you can see here, it's really thin wire, but for some reason it just works. So those bands, the wrapping in the back is very important. I recommend keeping it really small, and I would wrap at least 5 times on each side. So this one looks really messy right now. I'm gonna put it back on my ring mandrel to see if I can smooth out any of those issues real quick. And kind of just turn it on your mandrel too if you need to make it a little bit bigger. And then flip it over and do the same. And there you have a messy beaded wrap ring. I did want to mention another way to do this ring, and instead of looping it in the air with all your crystals on, kind of how I did with, the loops and dropping 2 down, you can loop it straight onto the mandrel. And I just wanted to show you how to do that in case you would prefer to work that way. I think it'll give you cleaner lines. And it's not how I originally did it, but it is a different way to do it. So I'm gonna work on the size 10 again here. Leave yourself a decent tail of wire, probably about 6 inches. And then have 2 crystals here. Go up to the size 10 and wrap. And then leave 2 down and wrap. And then leave 2 down and wrap. And then wrap whatever extra wire you have. And then pull it off your mandrel. And then you wrap your bands just as we did before. But you can see that that gives you the same effect while also kind of keeping some of those wires a little bit more straight. All right, let's go back over the tools you're gonna need for this project. You're gonna need a ring mandrel. And just to mention, if you want this ring vise, you can pick it up anywhere online or at your local hardware store. You'll need 24 gauge wire, a flush cutter, a chain nose plier, and a wire straightening plier is always good to have on hand just in case. Don't forget the Chinese crystals. If you'd like to pick up any of the tools or supplies we used today, check out the links in the description below. What's your go-to quick jewelry design? Let us know in the comments, and while you're there, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell.